This is the Roller Coaster Podcast, and I'm your host, Lucy Q. Life is a wild ride. It has twists and turns. It's scary, exciting, and downright fun. So throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby, baby. I wanna ride.
Episode 200 of the roller coaster will soon be here, and this is your chance to be part of the fun. I'm going to be recording this episode with coaches and listeners just like you. If you want to be part of the fun, head over to nectargrowth.com. Sign up for free and RSVP for the November 18th event. All of the details will be under the events tab. I can't wait to see you there. What are you waiting for? Come join us. You know you're worth it.
Ride.
Have you ever looked at superstars, athletes, or top business people and wondered, what makes you tick? What did you do differently to separate yourself from the rest and propel yourself to the top? What makes someone successful? Joining me today is Dr. Ruth Gotian, author of The Success Factor, to share what high achievers have in common and how you can reach peak performance. Welcome to the roller coaster, Ruth.
Thank you. I am excited to go for the ride.
Did I almost get your last name right?
You got it right. It's
Did I?
Gotian.
Okay. I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if I tripped up there.
No, you did a great job.
So the topic of high achievers, what inspired you to start researching this?
It was actually my students. I used to run what's called an MD PhD program for the people who get both an MD degree and a PhD degree simultaneously. These are physician scientists. These are the people who see a problem in a patient and then go to a lab to try to figure it out and come up with treatments for it and try to understand it. And the program had a 3.5% acceptance rate. I mean, this was the creme de la creme. And all the talks nationally that we discussed in meetings and in papers and conferences was about what we called the leaky pipeline, people who were leaving the profession after training so long and so hard. And I was wondering about the other end of the spectrum, the people whose work is so incredible, so powerful, so impactful that they more than make up for anybody who's leaving the pipeline. Those were the people that I wanted to focus on. So at the age of 43, while working full time and raising my family and having elder care for my parents, I said, let's add one more thing to the list. So I decided to get my doctorate. And I did. And I've been studying success deeply. I'm quite passionate and can totally geek out on it.
So you're a high achiever.
I don't know about that. I tell people I study high achievers.
Well,
because you know what? Success is a moving target. And no matter who you ask, they have a different definition. So there's always more I want to achieve. So I don't think I'm there yet.
You don't think you're there yet?
There's more I want to do, but I'll tell you what, of all the extreme high achievers who I interviewed, Nobel Prize winners and astronauts and Olympic champions, NBA champions, they all tell me they're not high achievers. And I'm thinking, you just won the Nobel Prize. If you're not a high achiever, what does that mean for the rest of us? And that's really when it started to click that there's always more to do. There's always more to achieve, always unfinished business to take care of. It's a journey.
Is it that they're always striving for something more, or is it a combination of that plus they're very humble about their accomplishments?
They're extremely humble, extremely humble. In fact, I always ask the Olympians to show me their medal when we're done talking. Only 2 of them had it on display. Everyone else, it's in a brown paper bag in the sock drawer, it's in the nightstand, it's in a box under the bed, it's in a safe. Scott Hamilton, the figure skater, gave them all away. So it's never really about the medal. And I don't really know anybody who just stopped I don't know a single Nobel Prize winner who stopped doing research just because they won a Nobel. It just doesn't happen. It was never about the prize. There was always something bigger, and they were so passionate about it. This is what they were put on this earth to do. And it's a lifelong aspiration for them. And that's why they're so invested in it.
So it's for them, it's about the work, not the achievements along the way.
The achievement is just the way other people recognize you. And for them, it's never about that. That's a nice thing to get along the way. But it was never, when they started out, it was never about winning the Olympic medal or the Nobel. They did it because they loved it.
It wasn't the goal.
Loved it. That was not the goal. It became something later on that they wanted to achieve. But there's always something beyond that.
So out of all the people you interviewed, did they all have some things in common?
They did. They had 4 things in common.
4 things.
And 4 things. And that was my aha moment, because I realized an astronaut is just like an Olympian. And if that's the case, these are learnable skills. And if these are learnable skills, I'm an adult educator. I can teach it to you. So I reverse engineered their path, created a blueprint. And if you're ready to geek out with me, I'm happy to share the 4 elements they all had.
I'm all ready to geek down. Go for it.
All right. So the first one is they are so passionate about what they're doing. They would do it for free if they could. This is what they were put on this earth to do. They love waking up in the morning and getting to work because it's about doing something that they love. There's a fire in their belly. Now, people always say, oh, you have to be motivated. Motivation is not enough, because if you're doing it for the Nobel, for the Olympic medal, for the award, for the promotion, for the diploma, that's called extrinsic motivation. That means other people are judging you. And if you're always working towards other people's judgments of you, you will either fail out or burn out. But if that motivation comes from within, what we call intrinsic motivation, oh, then the sky's the limit, because this is for yourself. You love doing it. You love doing it. And that passion really comes through. So that's the first one. Now, how you do it requires the next 3 steps. So when you are so passionate about something, time stands still. You get into the state of flow where you're not hungry, you're not tired, you're not sore, nothing aches, you don't need to go to the bathroom, because you're so into what you're doing. You know it when you get it. It's rare, but it happens. And what happens is when you're passionate about something, you will outwork everyone. And that will make you stand out. So that's number 2. Number 3, you need to have a very strong foundation, which you're constantly reinforcing. So the same things you did early in your career, you have to continue doing them even after you get that Nobel Prize or that Olympic medal. You will see any Olympic athlete, the same drills that they're doing are the same drills you'd see in any junior high gym. The Nobel Prize winners, I said, they're still designing and executing experiments even after they win the Nobel. They're still doing it and applying for grants. They don't say, oh, it's all going to come to me. So that's having a strong foundation, which you're constantly reinforcing. And the last one, number 4. So a lot of these people have terminal degrees. They have, they've gone through a lot of schooling, but they are continuously learning, and they're learning in informal ways. So we're adults sitting in a classroom for 8 hours a day. That's not realistic. Now you hear of Mark Cuban and Warren Buffett and Bill Gates that they are reading 3 to 8 hours a day, and that's great. But that's not what made them billionaires. What made them billionaires was that they were open to new information. And they were collecting all of this information and finding gaps and finding connections that were not obvious to other people. So they read books, but there are other ways you can get that informal information. So you can read articles, you can read blogs, you can watch videos, you can listen to podcasts such as this one. Hopefully I'm providing value. There's so many ways that you can learn new things. The idea is you have to constantly be doing this, constantly learn new things, constantly be open to learning new things. Now, don't forget, real human beings are a great source of information as well. So all the high achievers surround themselves with a team of mentors, those who believe in them more than they believe in themselves. They help them with their career, but they are also the very supportive ones. They're the cheerleaders, the ones that get you out of your funk when you're in your funk. They put things into perspective for you. So that is the fourth one. So it's passion, your work ethic, your strong foundation, and the informal learning.
Where do you feel that, say, most people, the average person, and of those 4 steps, which one do you think that the average people either write off or don't bother with?
I think it's all of them, but I think I see the thing is, if you really want to succeed, you have to do all 4, and you have to do them consistently. And if you were to start with step 1, it is find your true passion. Find what you would do for free if you could. What is it that you absolutely love doing? And there's a difference between being good at something and being passionate about it. I'm good at a lot of things. I'm not passionate about all those things. So there is a difference, and you have to know how to be able to discern between them. And actually, if your listeners really want to do a passion audit, which is what I do with people, to figure out what it is that you love and what do you need to start shedding, then they could just go to my website, which is ruthgotian.com/passion audit. And they could just download it for free. And it'll help you crystallize what it is you love doing, what you don't like doing or are not very good at, and what you would do for free if you could, or you're doing in your volunteer activities. Because research has shown you only need to spend 20% of your time doing those things. So if you can find a way to embed some of those things into your work, you will see that you are so much happier doing what you do.
That makes a lot of sense. Let's go back to that second step, flow.
The work ethic.
Because I mean, you can have great work ethic,
Yeah.
but you can't always achieve flow.
No, you can't. You can't. It's hard to get. It's hard to get. And you need to get certain conditions for that to happen. But it starts with you're working on what you're passionate about. And when you work on what you're passionate about, you will sit there and it'll go. And when I started writing the book, The Success Factor, not every day was great. The words didn't flow every day. But when they did flow, I would sit there for hours at my computer. And it's like I couldn't type fast enough. I had to get these words out. And I love writing, and I love sharing the stories, and I love teaching this stuff, and I love talking about it. And when it works, you're just in it. And all of a sudden I look up and, oh, it's dark outside and I skipped 2 meals today. And, but it when you see it. Apollo Ono, the short track speed skater, he said he would often get it at practice, but not always in competition. But he knew he loved it because he was able to get it. You have to work at it. And when you get it, when you are in that state of flow, I want your listeners to really pay attention to what it is that you're doing when you get into that state of flow, because that will give you an indication of what your passion and purpose is.
So what are some of those conditions that you need present to get into the state of flow?
So first of all, you need to know what your peak working hours are, meaning your peak concentration hours, right? So I'm a morning person. My state of flow is not coming at 10 o'clock at night. It's not even coming at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I wake up really early, and I know every minute in the morning counts because I can get more done by 10 o'clock than I can for the rest of the day because I'm so focused during those hours, right? So I am literally able to get into that state of flow. So because those are my peak focus hours, I am not answering emails. I am not on Zoom. I am not on the phone call. I am not running errands. I am doing the cognitive work when I am the most focused. When I'm less focused is when I will go on those Zoom meetings and respond to those emails and do those other things. So it's really leveraging your focus hours. And when you start tapping into what your passion is, you'll see it just comes. Now, when you have ideas about what these things might be that you really love doing, start making a note of them. use the voice app on your phone if you need to, or the notes app, or I always have a paper and pen next to my bed because I'm always thinking of something. Do that and you'll start trying it out and you'll start to see what it is that you love doing, and you just get into that state of flow.
And then, when we look at this step about foundations, that's those daily habits that we build today that, lead us to success.
Well, it's what you did early in your career that will really carry you through later in your career, but you have to keep doing them. So for example, Neil Katyal argued 44 cases before the United States Supreme Court, more than any minority lawyer. 44, that's a lot. Most lawyers don't do one. He has a practice that he did for case 1, and he did it for case 44 and everyone in between. So he has, for example, he practices what's called moot court, which is like practice sessions. Case 1, he did 15 of them. By case 44, he may do about 5, but the point is he's still doing them. He also prepares a binder with every possible question he might be asked. And then he works through the answers for every single one. And he walks into court with that binder and he puts it right in front of him. And he told me most of the time he never even opens it. But the practice of preparing that binder prepares him to argue before the Supreme Court. He did that at case 1. He did that at case 44. And he also, the night before the first day of court, he actually goes into his kid's bedroom and starts telling them about the case in the simplest of detail, because he said, if I can explain it to a child, I can explain it so the court can understand. Did that at case 1, did that at case 44. Same practices. He doesn't stop doing them because, oh my goodness, I've already argued dozens of cases before the Supreme Court, I could just walk in. No, he still practices in the same way. Olympians are the same. All high achievers do it.
Yeah, it's realizing, the skills that got you there.
That's right.
And then
That's right.
not, resting on your laurels and saying, well, now that I'm a big hoity-toity,
Exactly.
I can just sit back.
Exactly.
That's when you sort of get into that, I'm just going to coast. And that's when people stumble.
That's right. They don't coast. These are not coasters.
And of the people that you interviewed, was there one story in particular that really sort of stuck out and resonated with you?
There are so many. There's so many, and each one will come up at a different time. But what really got to me was even the extreme high achievers have what we call imposter syndrome.
Yes.
They're always afraid it's going to disappear one day. So what's interesting is that the physician scientists who won the Nobel Prize, they haven't seen patients in decades. They're doing research full time, but they still have an active medical license. And I asked them why. And they said, because all of this might disappear one day. The funding could dry up, the research can be out of vogue, at least I can always have something I can fall back to. It was my first love, was the clinical practice. I'm like, you won the Nobel. I think you're going to be okay. They don't feel that way. The Olympians, they say you walk into the training gym in the Olympic Village, talk about imposter syndrome. And they always wonder, did that person do one extra sit-up, eat one extra piece of apple, get another 15 minutes of sleep? Did I do enough? Did I do enough? Am I even supposed to be here? And this is something I hear over and over and over again. So these are the kinds of stories that, if they can have imposter syndrome, why can't the rest of us? And that's why I feel imposter syndrome, you actually feel it because it's something new, something you haven't experienced before. So I actually think it's a marker for success, not a sign of stress. It shouldn't be a sign of stress.
Yeah, I agree 100%, because we experience imposter syndrome when we're stepping out of our comfort zone and we feel alien in our surroundings. But, once we practice being in those surroundings enough,
yeah,
that becomes your new comfort zone. And it's the next step then back.
Yeah.
You think you've conquered your imposter syndrome.
Nope.
But the minute
Oh,
you
it's another one.
once you step back out of that comfort zone, it's like a hello, my old friend. There we
That's
go.
right. That's right. And, I just feel comforted if the Nobel Prize winners and Olympic champions and astronauts can have it. Why can't I? It's not
Well,
such an exclusive club, right?
I know. And that's the thing is that, I think it's very rare that we do meet somebody regardless of what position or title that they hold in this life. That at some point in time, they've not felt, hey, am I supposed to be here?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Now, Ruth, as we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom you'd like to share?
Look, I don't think anybody wants to wake up in the morning and say, today I'm going to aim for average. I don't think so. I think people want to be successful. They just don't know how to do it. And it just seems so big. And where do I start? And how will I get there? And I've worked for years on creating this blueprint that's in the book, The Success Factor, because I believe success can be attainable for anybody who wants to achieve it. So I'm just sharing with the listeners, stop talking about one day and make today day one.
In your book, The Success Factor, that comes out in January 22?
It comes out in January. It's available on pre-sale now in Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble. And I know it's available in Canada.
Yeah, I found it on Amazon.ca. So yes, it is.
People have told me they already pre-ordered from there.
And where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Oh, my website is ruthgotian.com, which is also where you can find the passion audit and a worksheet on how to develop your own mentoring team. And all the social media is just my name. And if we connect on social media, you'll also see the articles that I write in Forbes and Psychology Today, and you'll hear about them. There's tips there every single week.
If you're looking at connecting with Ruth, make sure you check out the show notes. I will have all of the links in there. Make sure you grab your copy or pre-order your copy of The Success Factor when it's released in January. And Ruth, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. What a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creative.
Life is like